Hey all, SmurfidRace beta users, this is the first video that I produced showing how to use SmurfidRace. I've been super busy. Apologies to the several users that have had no information whatsoever on how to use this software. Just slammed right now with producing events. Good problem to have. Alright, so let's get right to this. This is SmurfidRace. The first time you're going to see SmurfidRace, it's going to look a little bit different. It will only have a single row across the top, but I get ahead of myself. Let me talk to you first about where to get help on this. This has been designed to provide as much help as possible without, in the quickest way possible. So I'll lead you right to this question mark will answer many of your questions. It's AI assisted help. So if you type in a question, for example, how to set up the Feibot device port. I don't know. Something. That's a random question. That it basically sends your question to a model. It references some help files and comes back and says, hey, you could do this. Okay? This will answer probably 3/4 of your questions on how to use this software. So I encourage you to use this. Other buttons on this panel bar are share. If you want people to use the software, which of course we want you to share, we want people to use it as well, because the more people that use it, the more likely it stays around. So put this information here and we will send them a note saying that you recommended this software. Bug fixes and report feature requests. You can click on that bug up over here and submit this information and we will work on it. Okay, let's get right to it. You're going to first see this most likely with a single row at the very top. In order to add rows, you click on the hamburger icon of the row in question and you can just do whatever it says. You can add below, you can add. Okay, so you can keep adding, we can keep adding devices. Now you might be limited to a certain number of devices that you can use based on your license. The beta license has 4 device limit, but there's no export limits on the devices, or there are no limits on the types or numbers, the types of devices you can connect to. So it is limited to 4 boxes, 4 timing boxes or 4 readers. Let's go straight into it. How do you connect to a machine? You put in the IP address, you put in the port, and if basically the box is there and you click connect, it'll go green and it'll say disconnect. The status goes to green, the communications go blinking, so every time it talks to the device, it blinks this green and yellow. You can understand what these various columns are just by hovering over the header label, and it will tell you what it is. In this case, I'm connected to a Feibot machine. This is a Feibot 2223 is the port that it uses. In order to configure the machine, I click on the PARMS button. The PARMS button opens up the box parameters window. It defaults to the basic settings. Basic settings look very much the same as they do in the main window, except we have an enable beep here, an auto connect, and an auto reconnect. The enable beep is self-explanatory. The auto connect, if you check this box, when the program starts, when SmurfidRace starts, it will automatically connect to this box. This is useful if you have a server, if you have SmurfidRace serving as a server, because the standard version, the non-paid version, the standard version, allows you to actually connect to 2 devices at no charge. So if you have this running as a server somewhere, as a timing box, then you want to click on auto connect so that it automatically starts up every time you start the software. Auto reconnect, for some reason, if the network is glitchy or whatnot, you lose connections for whatever reason, it automatically reconnects to the box. This is useful if your network is glitchy. So the software will automatically ping the box. If there's no box If it doesn't respond, it attempts to reconnect again. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this. We always leave auto reconnect connected. The device parameters, since we're connected to this machine, this is pretty basic. This looks a little clunky. We're going to work on this. But you can set your time, your gate settings, your reader modes, your power for each reader. You can select which antennas you want, and you can all store this on the reader. So it's essentially like you manipulating the reader. So how do you set time? The most common thing that you're going to do, and always do, is set your time on your box. So we're going to measure the latency. So how fast, what's the delay between our program and the device? 1 millisecond is as short as it gets for us. This is because we're connected to it by Ethernet cable. In other circumstances where you have a remote timing split, so SmurfidRace is running remotely on a box somewhere, it's connected to the internet, but we're remoted into it, and I won't show you in this video, but in later videos. That latency can be long. It can be 100 milliseconds sometimes. Sometimes it can be 200 milliseconds. So what we do is, after we measure latency, we take that into account when we set the time. So if I hear set to system time, it uses a 1 millisecond. It adds a 1 millisecond to the time that we set. That way it keeps the time synchronized across all devices. If for some reason, when we use the computer system time, we always synchronize all boxes to our scoring computer. That's how we do it here, but maybe you want to set the manual time, that's fine. Go ahead and set the time here. Change these settings however you want to do it. We say set to manual time, and it says, okay, I did set the time, and I don't know what I set it to here. I just was clicking on buttons. I set it to minus 192 seconds to our system time. Okay, so I'm going to change this back to system time. Gate settings, it's set to 3, but I usually set it to 1 for starts. By default, it's 32. It should actually be 33 for Feibot, so we'll need to look at that. It doesn't matter. 33, 32 is basically the same. So all antenna enabled here. We're going to say apply changes, and it's going to confirm you are alive. We're going to close out of this, and if we click on, now I have an antenna on reader number 1 on antenna 4. And so if we say start, you can see that that's what's going on there. Just for brevity, I'm going to, well, actually no. Let me show you how to rewind and replay. So I'm going to stop this. Click on the rewind replay button. The difference between rewind and replay is that rewind, you're taking data and asking it to send it back to you, and that data is stored on the machine itself, on the box. LLRP readers don't have a rewind, so we have a replay function. The replay function replays data that's stored on your computer. All data that's ever been collected using SmurfidRace on your computer is stored on a database on your computer. One of the powers of SmurfidRace. So in this case, if I rewind from the box, I can say today. I can say rewind from today. It automatically sets the time and date here, and it automatically defaults to rewinding to the DSV file. Oh, I forgot to go to that. You know what? I'll complete this and go back to it. Apologies for jumping around here. So if I say rewind from the device, it says, are you sure you want to do it? I say yes, and it says boom, 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 boom. It says there's all your data. Now, I didn't show you how to set your DSV location. DSV is delimiter separated value. Some people call this a CSV file, but some people use semicolon delimited values. We just call it delimiter separated value. So click on DSV parameters, set your folder here, select folder, select the folder, you're good. DSV format settings, you can change this from comma, semicolon, tab, pipe, whatever you want. You can save it to whatever extension you want. In this case, we save it to a text file here, but you can save this as a CSV file, whatever you like to do. Now, the important part, what fields are we going to select to save? You can see that we've got a huge number values here. I'm just clicking on these and it moves it back and forth. Okay, but if you once you decide that you want certain parameters, you put it over here and you say save. It saved it. It was really quick. I don't know if you saw that. But let's say that I want to use this as the default values, and the order, oh, by the way, the order can be adjusted by clicking in, drag and dropping. Okay, so if you want this in different orders, it's pretty easy to move this around. Let's say I want this to be the default order and the fields that we want saved in that text file that I've selected. I put all these over here and I say save as default, and then it saves it as default. Which then means if I go to other devices and I open up this window and I say reset to defaults, it's going to use whatever it's already been saved. Now I haven't saved it again because I have already defaults that we use. And if I say reset to defaults here, you can see it change back to this default. All right, that's a pretty powerful feature. So I'm going to go ahead and save this again because I messed with that. And then I think I already started it. Yes, I did. So if we come back to this folder, here's the file. It's 1:12 p.m. That was a few minutes ago. That's right. I'm going to open this, and you can see all these values here, and they're in the order that we wanted. Yeah, that's an old school way of having a text file or a CSV file that we import into our software. Now, the power of this is that SmurfidRace can directly integrate with scoring software. So the necessity of importing text and CSV files is not necessary for some software. This is RaceDay Scoring. RaceDay Scoring, we've already worked with Run Sign Up and the RaceDay Scoring team, and they have integrated the SmurfidRace Direct stream directly into RaceDay Scoring. So if we go over to streams, I've already set this up here, but let's go ahead and if we say add stream, it'll create a row like this, and we can go and edit that row, and we can do these modifications. So I've named this stream start. In this drop down box, you just select SmurfidRace Direct, and it says what is the SmurfidRace split name, and we call it start. What is the split name? That is the name that we have in this field right here. Okay, so if I come over here and change this to SQL start, this has to match. Okay, this port number should be 54320. It's important to make sure it is. I'm going to say save, and I'm just going to change this to SQL finish. Just because everything's the same for the finish. We use the same port number. RaceDay Scoring is designed to parse out the data based on that split name. So we can use the same port number and have just different split names, and it separates the data. Okay, let's start the connector, and it'll take a moment for the connector to start. And once it starts, all right, there we go. And you can see that this went green because it is connected to our software. We also went green here. If you notice before we were at amber color, it's because the RaceDay Scoring, it was trying to tell you, hey, you have RaceDay Scoring selected as an adapter, but we're not able to connect to it. And that's why it was orange. Well, it's green now because RaceDay Scoring, the RSU connector, is running correctly. Okay, so if I then, I have some reads in here. Let me clear this out. Right, it's completely empty. And if I start this machine now, okay, you can see that I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you do. This is changing very slowly, but it's streaming all of these reads over here. And if we click over here, you can see it says SQL start. It's streaming the reads directly to RDS, which is pretty cool. And if we do this with our finish as well, which I already know, this is an LLRP reader. This is the FX9600 that we have. It's a Zebra. So if I say start, and SQL finish. Now this is gonna just blow up. I already know this, so I'm gonna stop this. You can see these numbers are just going up very quickly. It's like somebody standing on a start line. So now if we go over here though, we can see that we've now populated the SQL finish as well. Okay, so the data has been streamed directly to RaceDay Scoring, and we don't have to do any imports of any files whatsoever. That's pretty cool. Let's do this. Let's extend this further to RaceTec. RaceTec. If you use RaceTec, let's see here, SQL start and finish. We can see it right here as well. So I'm going to, just to prove to you that it works, I'm going to delete this data, delete the raw times. And in order to use this with RaceTec, you have to actually set up the credentials. So you go to Global Settings, go to Export Adapters, click on RaceTec SQL. You're going to need to set up your server, which can be an IP address or it can be the PC name. Set up your instance, SQL instance name, which can be SQL Express. By the way, there's another way of doing this, which is noted actually right here, but I'm not going to talk about that. Put in your PC name, which one might be even your local host. So you can put in 127.0.0.1 here, or you can put in your IP address, and it should work. SQL instance name, almost always SQL Express, and then put in your SA, which is your, I don't know what that is, your super administrator. I don't recall what that is, but put in your password here. And if everything's good, you click test, you're connected directly to your SQL database. So this literally writes directly to the SQL database. If that scares you, I get it. Be sure you back up your databases often. We've tested this extensively. Never, ever has this corrupted that database. So no issues there. So what do we do? It streams directly into the chip times table. So if I say start here and start here, these numbers are just going to go gangbusters, as you know. And if we look at this, oh, by the way, you need to make sure that this race ID matches the race ID that you have in RaceTec, right here. 559, 559. In that way, it matches it all up. And you can see SQL start, SQL finish are there. And it streams directly into there. You don't have to do any sort of importing or any of that. Pretty cool. So with that, I'm going to leave it to you. I think I talked about the rewind and replay. It's the same thing. It'll rewind and replay to RDS or to RaceTec as well, or to the CSV file or DSV file. So that is the first pass, the first video for SmurfidRace. Well, I hope you found this useful, and I'll try and produce more of these videos to give you an idea of what it can do and how to use it. All right, take care. Have a great day. Happy racing. Happy timing, all.